Hi, this is Trey Pastor. I'm going to do a breakdown of the Superman teaser trailer that came out the other day. Um, I did a test of this before, so I think I have it right now. Um, the way I want it to be. I muted the audio because I think the last time I recorded it, I had the audio playing. When I would stop the clip, it would still play. Okay, so I muted it now, so I think I have it right. I'm doing this in OBS. Okay, and I wanted to break this down, and that video was like 20, 40 something minutes, so I'm going to try to do this one in maybe a half hour. So let's get right to it. Okay. Um, I'm total faith in James Gunn, but let's talk about this. I'm going to play it and then I'll stop it and give you my commentary as we go along the way. And open up with an Arctic scene, obviously near the fortress. So let's hit play. Okay, and we just see it blowing, and then we see Superman come crashing down. Okay, and you hear him moaning, like he's been he's been through something. So I'll let it keep going until we get it a little close up. Yeah, and then we see Superman. You could tell because he's not moving, and he has labored breathing, so you can tell that he's been through something. So we're just watching it and wondering what's happening to Superman, like he's been in a fight or something. Because I think even from now there, this vantage point, I think you can tell that he's bleeding. But let's keep going. And the camera circles in, and then we see a nice shot of Clark walking down the street. And we saw this clip in the behind the scenes stuff that they were filming. We saw this quick clip that they filmed of him dodging the people to get to the Daily Planet. Let's play a little bit more. Okay, dodging the people, and and just going into the Daily Planet. Okay, okay, and now we see the close up. It's zooming in, and we see Superman. You see blood on him, you know, from on the side of his forehead and his mouth, and he's coughing up blood. Okay, which is really, so he's been in a fight. Okay, so and you hear that labored breathing. Okay, and a nice close up of his face, of David Cornsweet's face. You can see like he had a cut on his nose, on his lip, and he's been through something. And I think he's trying to breathe here so he can do the whistle that we know is going to come later. So let's play it out. Okay, and then we get James Gunn, from James Gunn, and then we see the shot of the Daily Planet. We see Clark going to his desk, and I think right behind Clark is on the phone, and you see right behind him is Steve Lombard. If we was to zoom this in, you'd probably see, but that's Steve Lombard. Okay, so let it play a little further, and then we see Lois. She has a copy, of course, of the Daily Planet, and she has a coffee, and she's walking down she tucks it under her arm, and she's like walking towards her desk, and then we see a shot which I missed the first time I saw this. That's Jimmy right there on the right, Jimmy at his desk, and we see Clark like hunched over trying to get to his desk because I don't know if he's late or not, and you see a blonde lady on the camera. I don't know if that's Cat Grant or somebody, but there's a blonde lady on the camera there on the TV that's above Clark's desk. And you see Lois. I don't know if she's trying to say hello to him, and he's trying to sneak in because he's late. I'll let it play out a little bit more. And yeah, it looks like she says something to him, and then she's looking back at him, and maybe he's like distracted because he's trying to get back to his desk, because he's late. Probably doing superhero stuff and trying to get back to his desk, and then Lois is looking at him, and I don't know if she says hello, and then then he remembers, that he looks back. I think and then he looks back, and you see him like looking up, and I think he's looking at Lois there. Okay, so, and then we get this from the director of Guardians of the Galaxy trio, and then we see a shot of the Kent farm, and we zoom in, and then we see Clark hugging his father, Jonathan Kent, and we don't know the reason why he's hugging him. It could be, like I said, a lot of people have speculated that maybe something's wrong with Martha. Maybe Martha has passed in this iteration that James Gunn is doing. Maybe she's passed, or maybe Jonathan, Clark is comforting his father because maybe his father has just got a cancer diagnosis or something, and he's comforting his father. because Superman knows, like in all iterations, he can't stop his father from dying, but of course he's gonna want to be there for him and stuff. So I think that's a real touching scene of him, putting his arm around his father and comforting his father. Okay, and now it says this summer, and then we see Clark. He's finally able to whistle, and he's whistling at something, and we don't know yet until we see this image. We see something traveling through the snow real quick. Something is coming real fast, and then I think I first guessed it. I think when I look at my first reaction, that I kind of guessed that would be Krypto, because who else would be coming? Who else would you whistle to except a dog? You whistle to you because cats don't whistle. Cats don't come when you whistle at them, but dogs do. When you whistle for them, they come. Say, "Here, boy, whistle," or something, and then they come running, and then we see that's we don't see who it is, but we just see the snow, and then we see it begins, and then we have this nice shot of Krypto right there, and he has the cape on it, which I didn't think he would have it at first, but I'm glad that he does. And you see him, this nice shot of him with the cape and the collar on him. Okay, and I don't know how they're gonna. Obviously, this is a super dog, so I'm wondering how they're gonna explain how he got to Earth, whether he came with Clark, or maybe he came with Kara. I'm just waiting to see how James Gunn explains it, how he got there. And so, of course, he's licking his master's face, and Clark is yelling him, telling him, "Home, boy, take me home." Okay, and of course, being the smart dog that he is, he grabs his cape, and heads for home. And then I love this shot, quick shot of Superman rushing in to save a young girl, and you see in the background of her, there's a big foot of that big monster that Clark is fighting. Clark and I think the other heroes are helping him fight it too. And you see him just come flying in and protects her from all those, because I think the monster, the Kaiji, steps on a big truck that has all these tubes and stuff in the back of it, and Clark just swoops in and saves her. I thought that's a great shot of Clark saving somebody. Okay, it's a real cool shot. And then we see a shot of Lex looking in the sky, and then Superman flying by, and he's looking pissed. Okay, he's looking pissed. Now this shot right here is, of course, Luthor Corp, the building, and people say if you zoom in, you'll see the engineer on top of Lex Corp. So I don't, because there's a shot in the trailer there's a shot in the trailer they released theatrically. I heard this from other people of Lex, the engineer, and the Ultraman, clone, Ultraman, going into what it looks like probably the fortress, and so we know maybe initially the engineer is working with Lex, and I think the Ultraman thing is probably a clone of Superman. But anyway, let's continue on. Okay, I like that shot. And then you see him with a gun, Lex, and he probably has kryptonite bullets in this thing. And I'm thinking also that when they break into the fortress, because there's a later shot of the robot being, the robot, I think that guards the fortress, or maybe the Clark that came with Clark, that looks like it's destroyed, laying on the ground, and maybe Lex finds out about Superman's weaknesses and stuff, and maybe the kryptonite and all that stuff, and maybe he fastens kryptonite bullets. So that could be that. And then we see this shot of Superman like in a cage. I don't know, maybe like I said, that when Lex and them go to the fortress and they find out information about Superman, that Red Sun can rob him of his powers, and maybe somebody turns off the Red Sun thing, and then Superman is strong enough now, once his powers come back, to punch through this, which he does, punch through this glass. Okay. Because we know Superman gets arrested, and the behind-the-scenes shots, we see Superman getting arrested by, the Ultraman, and I think Rick Flag Sr. is there, and also the engineer. But anyway, now this shot of this foreign country, and you see this young boy putting down a flag with Superman's logo on it, and he's praying for Superman to come and help them. Okay, and then we see this shot of Superman going through the crowd, and I think this is right after the kaiju fight, and after whatever's happened, maybe it ended tragically, like maybe somebody died. I don't know if it's the not the little girl he saved, but maybe somebody else, and then maybe they're blaming Superman for it, which is totally unfair because he can only do what he can do. And maybe people are yelling at him, and you see this guy even throws a can at him. See, which is crazy, and they see people still yelling at him, trying to get to, and maybe they're telling him get out of here or whatever. And I don't know if that's somebody in the crowd that maybe Alexis put out in the crowd to stir up the people and get them angry at Superman. And you see Superman is see Stag Industries. You see he's in that building, the Stag Industries, and you see on his face he has a look of somebody that's been through something. Okay, I think because his uniform is partly burned. I think that's after the kaiju fight, and you just see the look on his face that he's been through some things. And he's maybe an alien, but he's also human in a lot way, because he's been raised as a human. So this probably gets to him that maybe somebody passed, and he's feeling it, really feeling emotionally. And then we keep going on, and then we see the Green Lantern played by what's his name? I can't remember the Guy Gardner, and you see him using his power ring to block the window so nobody can see inside, and to give Superman a moment to catch his breath. Okay, and you see behind him right there, Mr. Terrific is right behind him, and you see the Superman leaning down, like taking this all in because it affected him that somebody died that he couldn't save, and I think that's what's going to make all these moments great, because you see Superman being human. Okay, and then we keep going on, and then we see a nice shot of Hawkgirl come flying in. I thought Isabelle Marchand, who's playing Hawkgirl, and she looks fantastic flying in there. And she's, I think, playing the Kendra Sanders version of Hawkgirl. Okay, and then this next shot is of the kaiju right there, and you see Superman in the corner. You see that little speck right there, that's Superman, and the kaiju is shooting fire at Superman. And we see that's probably where he gets his suit gets partially burned. And you just see Superman engulfed by the flames. Of course, that's not going to hurt him, obviously, but it burns his suit. And then we see this shot of that we saw in the promotional image. In this image that you see behind me, Superman, I think this is in his apartment, and you see him and Lois, sitting there talking, having a conversation, while whatever's going on in the background. I don't know if the other heroes are fighting this while Superman is maybe Superman is doubting himself and doesn't want to go out there. And maybe Lois is there to give him a pep talk, to tell him, that the world needs him, which I think we're going to get a lot of great scenes like that. Her giving him encouragement to get out there and go out there and be a hero, because I think he's going to have a moment of doubt, and I think Lois is going to help restore his faith in by uncovering whatever plot Lex has going in mind and stuff, and her pep talks is going to inspire him to get back out there. Okay. And then we have this nice shot. I don't know if this is in Lois's apartment or the Kent farm, but you see she's kissing him without his glasses on. He's dressed like Clark Kent, because he doesn't have his glasses on, but he's dressed like Clark Kent. So I don't know if this comes like later in the movie when she figures out that he's Superman, or like somebody suggested that maybe she knows that he's Superman, that she figures it out, or maybe they're secretly dating, because you see this. The clothes that she's wearing in this shot where she's kissing him is the same clothes she has on the beginning of the trailer when she's getting her coffee and reading the newspaper. It's it's the same clothes that she's wearing. So this could be like right after a date, and maybe they're secretly dating and not letting doesn't want the people in Metropolis knowing, the Daily Planet knowing that she's dating him, and maybe she's already figured out that he's Superman, and she knows that, and they're secretly dating. Okay, which might be a nice twist to it, that she knows it. But because I think it could go either way, that she knows or she figures it out. Yeah, okay. So anyway, let's keep going. And that's just a great shot of them kissing. Okay, and then you see this shot of Superman. I've got the name of the robot because it's been in the comics of the robots that's in the fortress. That's where they are. You can see the background. They're in the fortress, and you see Clark. He's getting emotional. He's, you see he has the robot's hand in his hand, and he's looking down. You can see the pain expressing on his face. And this robot, as you see in the comics, I forgot what the character's name is. He has like a blue cape, and you see that cape right there, and it looks like he's been ripped apart. And that may have been when the engineer and the Ultraman clone and Lex has broken into the fortress and found it and got all the information they need, and it probably just Ultraman probably destroys the robot, and it's dying, and Clark is getting emotional because that's the last part of Krypton, Krypton that he has at this point. Of where he came from. Because I don't know at this point, because I do think Kara is in this movie, Supergirl, but we may not see her to the end. So at this point, he thinks this is the last part of his heritage that's left, and it's dying off, and so he's emotional about it, which you can't blame him. Okay, which I think is a great shot. So anyway, let's click that, and maybe this is the last thing that can tell him about his father, his family, his heritage. Okay, and it's dying, so it will be emotional for him. So let's click this. Continue, and then you see this is the fortress, and I don't know if it's exploding or whatever it's doing, but it looks like it's rising or something. The fortress. Okay, and right there, that's Metamorpho. Right there, Anthony Carrigan, who we haven't really seen in anything, and we know, because of Stag Industries, because I think Metamorpho was supposed to be married to the founder of Stag Industries, the businessman who accidentally experiments on him to change him into Metamorpho. So that's the first real shot we have of him in the movie, and I'm really interested in his role in this movie. Okay, and see how it plays out. So let's continue on. Okay, and then we see these 3 buildings collapsing. Two buildings going into one, and the tallest one is falling, and it's looking like it's going to fall on a bridge. And I wonder if Superman, because there's a later shot of Superman pushing back. It looks like he's pushing back something big, and maybe a building, and maybe Superman comes swooping in and prevents these buildings from falling, on this bridge and all that stuff. Maybe Superman comes flying in. Okay, so let's continue on. And there's Lex with a mean pus on his face because probably some of his plans didn't come to fruition or something, or maybe he finds out Superman escaped or whatever. Okay, and then we see the little kid on the TV, chanting Superman. You hear people in the background chanting Superman, and then see right there. I think that's the shot of Clark pushing back a building. Okay, I think that's him pushing back a building. That shot that we saw earlier, I think that could be Clark swooping down and pushing back those buildings so they don't collapse, and kill more people. So I think that's probably a heroic shot right there. So let's keep going. Okay, and there's Krypto, going home with Superman, carrying him, by his cape, pulling him back to the fortress. Okay, and right there we see the Ultraman clone, which I think is a clone of Superman. I don't think it's the real Ultraman from the crime syndicate. I think that's a clone that Lex has probably made from Superman's DNA, like how he got it, maybe from Superman fighting Ultraman and stuff, and he makes a clone. Not fighting Ultraman, but fighting somebody, one of his rescues, and maybe Superman leaves some DNA, and Lex is able to grabs it and is able to clone this kid. And I think from his strength punching through that wall, that could be him punching through maybe the fortress to get into it. So I think that could be a clone. I think that's a clone. And the reason I think James Gunn put him in that suit, in a mask, so you can't see his face, because obviously this clone, or this Ultraman, as everybody's calling it, is as tall as David Cornswet, because you see when he gets arrested in those behind-the-scenes photos, he's as tall as Superman. And I think there's going to be a big reveal when his mask rips off or it tears off, and he's going to be maybe even a Bizarro clone of Superman. Okay, like that. So I think that is who that is. That's a Bizarro clone of Superman. Okay, that Lex makes. I don't think it's the Ultraman from the crime syndicate. I think that's maybe a clone and maybe he'll turn into Bizarro, or I don't think it's going to turn into Doomsday and stuff like on Superman and Lois. I think he's going to be the clone of Superman, and he's going to either turn into Bizarro or just dies, however way he dies. But anyway, let's continue on. And then we see this shot that they shot in that field in Cleveland, in the Guardian Stadium. I forgot what the stadium is called, but anyway, you see Superman, he's struggling, fighting this big guy, okay? Stuntman, that's who he's fighting. That's as tall as he is and as strong as he is. But what I want to say about this fight, because we know from the behind-the-scenes photo, it's Superman, Ultraman, and the engineer, and I think Mr. Terrific is in there too, because I think we see him in some of those shots. And there's a shot where you saw, we see in the behind the scenes where they're setting up the shot. The Ultraman clone and the engineer, they're circling Superman, and then all of a sudden Superman just just takes off because you see him and that's why I think he gets the beating that he gets at the beginning of this video, and he's circling around trying to trying to figure out that he knowing that he can't take these two people, so he decides to get out of there, and he just takes off, and then I think he's so heading for the fortress, but he's so beat up. You see the blood on him and stuff. And I think because he's been through this fight, because I think, again, like I said, Mr. Terrific is in this fight initially, but I think Mr. Terrific either gets taken out early by either the engineer or this Superman clone, Ultraman, and he's out of the fight, or either Superman tells him to go, that he can handle these two people, while Mr. Terrific goes handles something else. And this is where Superman basically takes a beating. I think he takes a beating because he's fighting a being that's as strong as him, and plus the engineer who has all these powers and stuff. So Superman is taking a beating in this in this stadium. I think because from the behind the scenes stuff, we see Superman twirling around and stuff, and he's fighting two people basically. We see in some of those shots, the behind the scenes things, that he's fighting two people, and I think that's where he gets that beating that we see in the beginning of this. So let's continue on, and then we see Mr. Terrific. Okay, and this looks like they're at some camp. If you see it in that teaser, before the teaser, we saw some people from a base camp come out, and we see I think this is Lois. Like there's a lady, you can see a lady bent down, and Mr. Terrific, his T-spears are in the air, protecting them while these soldiers are firing. I think Lex men are firing on them, and I think that's Lois Lane because you see somebody bent down. First, initially, I thought that was Superman because it went by so fast, but as you pause it, it's a woman there. Clearly, it's a woman. And I wonder if Jimmy's there too with her, but that's clearly Lois Lane, I think, with Mr. Terrific right there. His T-spears are blocking, forming a nice circle around them to protect them from these bullets or guns that are firing at them. Okay, so let's go. And we know from James Gunn that Mr. Terrific plays a really important part in this movie. Okay, so I can't wait to see how it plays out. And we see from the behind-the-scenes photos, we see shots of Mr. Terrific and Superman together, so we know he's going to play an important part in this. Okay, and then we see this nice shot of Superman and Lois kissing. It looks like in a mall somewhere, or maybe a train station, because you see on either side, but it looks like a mall or something. And you see them floating up and kissing. That could be after the battle's over, and and him and Lois are kissing, which is a nice shot, a nice ode to the past. We've seen that in a lot of Superman movies and TV shows, so let's pick that. And then we see Superman, I think, is in the middle of that fire, that that kaiju that's shooting fire at him. Of course, it's not hurting him physically, but he has to get out of it because, else is going to burn his costume off. And he, flies up. Okay, let it go up. Okay, and then we see, I think this is in Superman's apartment. Lois and Superman together holding, she's holding his arm, okay, and kind of maybe even reassuring him. You see her looking at him, and she goes to hug him. Okay, give him a nice hug, a reassuring hug, which I think is part of the movie. Like I said, there may be a point where he's doubting himself, and she encourages him to get back out there and get into the fight. And I think she's going to play, her and Jimmy, the Daily Planet, is going to play an important part in figuring out Lex's scheme against Superman, because we know from James Gunn that Lex hates Superman, even though they don't really know each other. I don't know if he's just jealous of him, or he wants to be the person that everybody turns to instead of Superman, and he's jealous of it. Okay, so I think that's about it. Yeah, July 11th. Yep, there we go. DC Studios. Okay, I'll pause it at that. But again, I love this trailer because, and again, good. This trailer was everything. I was so looking forward to this trailer. And James Gunn, I have total faith in him. He's going to give us a great movie, a movie that's going to restore people's faith in DC. And I think if people give it a chance, they're going to get a really great movie. And again, I have total faith in James Gunn because he loves comics, he understands them, and he understands a good script. Okay, and so I have total faith that he's going to deliver a great product to us. Okay, and I cannot wait to start. And for all those people that want to be negative, let them be negative. Just block them out, I say, and just go and enjoy the movie. And this, I think it will restart, relaunch DC Studios. And I can't wait to see what they do with Wonder Woman, Batman, and all the other heroes. But this Superman movie, I think, is going to be tops. I have, again, like I said, total faith in James Gunn that he's going to carry on. Anyway, let me know what you think of this trailer and my breakdown. I think hopefully this works and this filmed rightly. I'll play it back when it's done, but I think I got it right. So anyway, let me know what you think. Feel free to leave comments down below. In the description box, I have links to my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram. I also have a link to my other channel called Views and Opinions. So you check that out as well. I also have a link down below to my Patreon. My Patreon is only $5 a month. I have tons of content on there, over 200 videos on there. And I also have everything divided into 5 different categories. Okay, and you have you get 5-minute preview clips of all the content that's on my Patreon. Okay, you follow the link, it'll take you to my Patreon. Also, I have a link down below to my merchandise store. As you can see, I'm wearing a shirt that has my logo on it, Trey Passer. Okay, that was designed by a YouTuber named Jay, so thank you, Jay, for that. I sell hats, t-shirts, mugs, sweatshirts, hoodies, cups, water bottles, for men, for women, for unisex. You follow the link, it'll take you to the store, and that's one way for you to support me. Also, please give this video a thumbs up. It helps the channel, and I truly appreciate it. Also, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you know when I upload new content to this channel. And this is Trey Passer saying so long, and take care.